it's Mika. For fans of the channel, I have some slightly bad and some really good news. Unfortunately, due to my exams, I won't be able to upload this series for the next 2 weeks. I hope you guys understand. Now, for the really good news. After my exams, I'll have 2 to 3 months where I'm doing basically nothing, and since I want to continue growing my channel, I've decided to update my schedule to start posting 4 times a week. This means that this series and any of my upcoming series will have uploads twice a week. I hope you guys enjoy them. If you are listening to this series and you enjoy it, please do consider subscribing. I have a feeling you'll enjoy a lot more of my content as well. Anyway, Area Cryptid upset, no one bothered to inform him of his tragic backstory. By Crimson Seekers. Part 5. Colonel Sanders. Raid case location.pdf. List of cases being worked and raids being planned right now. Don't get caught. Emo quote. Oh, nice. That was fast. Colonel Sanders. Fastest man alive, hot stuff. Mr. Still Your Hands. Is that all of them? Colonel Sanders. Yep. Also, something I want to say, but to you specifically, Dust Machine. Himikuo. Oh, tea? Colonel Sanders. If you even so much as approach a student intern, consider your scalps forfeit. Emo Quilt. That's really fucking ominous. Stainstan. Literally don't do it. He started giving me a detailed presentation on how his feathers are flexible enough to cleanly separate your scalp from your skull, and it's really terrifying. Mr. Still Your Hands. Are you threatening me? Colonel Sanders. You have a track record. Mr. Still Your Hands. Dabi literally threatened a kid. Why are you bitching at me? Emo Quilt. Hey, leave me and my scalp out of this. Also, I did that? Stainstan. Oh, you did. Himikuo. Wow, your memory really is trash. Emo Quilt. Frowny face. Colonel Sanders. Dabi doesn't carry around a picture of a student in 1A and go around showing it to serial killers like Togo with a crush. Himikuo. Hawksy out here throwing some shade. Also, Izuka's really cute. Why wouldn't Tomura want to show him off? Emo Quilt. It's really creepy, not gonna lie. Colonel Sanders. And you're also the one who decided to stick around and investigate Tokyo. If anyone is gonna run into a kid at a mall, it's you. Mr. Still Your Hands. One time. Colonel Sanders. You strangled him in the middle of the food court. Mr. Still Your Hands. He was annoying. Emo Quilt. Jesus fucking Christ, Shiggy. Calm your tits. Colonel Sanders. Moral of the story, Shigaraki isn't allowed around children. Emo Quilt has changed Mr. Still Your Hand's name to Bad Touch Man. Emo Quilt has locked Bad Touch Man's username. Bad Touch Man. I fucking hate all of you. Change it back. Emo Quilt. It's a beautiful day to be server admin. Mamagiri. Dabi. Emo Quilt. What? Am I wrong? Mamagiri. Stop harassing Tomura. The both of you. Colonel Sanders. Until Tomura is not allowed around any of my students, because he's got a reputation. Mamagiri. Tomura, please don't go after any students. Bad Touch Man. Fucking fine. Mamagiri. Dabi, let Tomura change his username. Emo quilt.
Ugh, fine.
Emo quilt has unlocked Bad Touch Man's username. Emo quilt has changed Bad Touch Man's username to Human Dandruff. Mama Giri. Thank you. Human Dandruff.
I hate all of you.
Himikuru. Sad face. Emo quilt. Sad face. Human Dandruff.
Fuck off, Dabi. You deserve it.
Did I really kidnap a UA student? Dabi asked, looking up from his phone to where Compress was reclining on the other bed of their abandoned cabin-turned-base, reading a book.
That sounds like something I should remember.
The showman looked up at him with an eyebrow raised in exasperation and amusement. You can't even remember the time Toga stabbed your hand into the table a few months ago. But yes, you did. Just this summer, actually. It was quite an event. Dabi intoned neutrally, returning his gaze to Shigaraki's pissed tirade in the League group chat, feeling a frown tug at his staples. Chapter 2, in which things get astronomically worse before they get better. This is such a bad idea, Spinner muttered for the 100th time, watching Shigaraki dig through files. Spinner was all for helping Dabi out, but he felt like he really should have drawn the line at Shigaraki deciding to break into the Hero Public Safety Commission to search through their old case files. Sure, they were in the League of Villains and had Kurogiri ready to warp them out at any moment, but it didn't make him feel any better about being deep in what was essentially the heart of Hero Society.
Stop being a little bitch,
Shigaraki snapped at him.
And stop being useful. Check those shelves over there.
He waved a hand at the opposite side of the room, before pulling out another box of files and skimming through them quickly. What are we even looking for? Spinner asked, pulling a dusty box off the highest shelf and nearly dropping it on his own head. You were kind of sparse on the details.
Files on missing or deceased people that look sketchy.
Shigaraki picked out 2 files from the box he'd been looking through, and tossed them into the box they'd set up in the middle of the file room.
The HPC has a lot of unreleased and classified information, so if we need information on new leads, this is the place we're most likely to find it.
Shigaraki hummed his acknowledgement, and they worked in silence for the most part, making their way through the shelves of the HPSC's classified file room. Now, Spinner was a follower of Stain, and his words of false heroes, but as he looked through the classified files of Hero Society's governing body, he suddenly felt a lot more understanding for late-night rants back at the bar about the inherent corruption of heroes. The HPSC had a hit squad for people with information they wanted to be kept silent. That entire box had been shoved next to the one slowly filling with independent files in the middle of the room. Quirk experimentation, blackmailing of heroes, missions that were assigned despite the minuscule chance of survival. Every dirty secret that was too classified to risk being stored on a digital, hackable server. Unfortunate that they hadn't accounted for a warp quirk. The box labeled Legacy Program was filled with nothing but files on people. It was heavily redacted as well, and skimming over the birth years of some of the children. Spinner was tempted to read further into the files to figure out what on earth the HPSC wanted with kids, but a feeling deep in his gut told him he didn't want to know. And placed a lot of them around Dabi's estimate age, so he just shoved that whole box to join the growing pile in the center. Another box filled with files of cases that the Commission had ordered law enforcement to stop investigations into. A few files from the box of people who'd quit unusually early and knew far too much. An amalgamation of files on people the HPSC didn't want anyone asking questions about.
The guard shift will change soon,
Shigaraki grunted, once they met in the middle, a sizable mountain of boxes and files piled up in the center of the room. His phone was already in his hand, pinging Kurogiri for pickup. Helping Shigaraki push the boxes of files through Kurogiri's portal, Reed doing it himself because Shigaraki was lazy and pulled his quirk as an excuse, despite the fact Spinner knew that Shigaraki was perfectly capable of taping his fingers, but he wasn't exactly looking to get into that death wish. Spinner tried to ignore the growing pit in his stomach about what going through the information would reveal. League of Villains breaks into HPSC headquarters by Matsuoka Natsumi. Late last night, League of Villains leader Shigaraki Tomura and members Spinner and Kurogiri broke into the classified archive room of the Hero Public Safety Commission and stole hundreds of classified documents and files. The break-in was only discovered after the fact, by a guard who checked the room as part of his regular patrol and found it ravaged. The HPSC had a press conference on the matter early this morning and released a statement giving basic details about the break-in, however, declined to share the nature of the information stolen. In recent months, the League of Villains has been acting in a capacity more akin to that of vigilantes, and while most laws draw the line between vigilantism and villainous charges very thin, most of the League's recent actions fall on the grayer side of that line. They have been acting as independent, albeit highly illegal, investigators and whistleblowers, which leads to many questioning what precisely is going to happen with this latest move by the League. From professional analysts to those on social media, no one is quite sure what the League's goals are, as they've become muddled and unclear in the recent months. It has been theorized that the League is returning to more illegal acts, but on the opposite end, it has been suggested, as is in line with their more recent actions, that they are planning an exposé on the HPSC. The amount of information stolen and the Commission's refusal to share what had been taken has been cited as evidence for this theory. If the Commission is indeed the next target of the League's investigation, considering what has previously been revealed, the assassination of Shinoda K, the Hanzo cartel cover-up, the negligence of the TPD, concerns have been raised about what possible socio-political ramifications. Read more. "Excuse me," Koichiro called, jogging as fast as she could in her heels to catch up to the duo she spotted. "Wait up, please!" She almost cried in relief as the two stopped in unison, turning to look at her. One with slightly flushed cheeks, a peppy smile, and space buns. The other covered in spandex and jittering in place. She stumbled to a stop as she caught up with them, hunching over for a few moments to catch her breath. "Are you okay, lady?" The spandex-covered one. Twice, she remembered, asked her, concern lacing his voice.
"Fuck off and die!"
Kichiro blinked, caught slightly off guard by the sudden switch, but recovered quickly enough. She had heard about his split personality. She just hadn't really been expecting to run into the League of Villains in Hokkaido, of all places. Last she checked, they mainly operated in Tokyo, but she wasn't about to look a gift horse in the mouth. "I'm fine," she reassured, an easy smile on her face before she turned to the girl next to him. "You're Toga Himiko, right?" The girl, Toga's, smile brightened as she nodded eagerly, fist tightening next to her jaw in excitement, and oh, that was a knife. Kichiro decided to pretend the red staining the edges of the knife was rust, for her own peace of mind. Pushing the thought out of her mind, she bowed to the teen, who blinked at the action, her smile being briefly replaced by a look of shock. "My name is Maede Kichiro. Serizawa Yuta is my cousin. Thank you for saving him." Straightening up, she saw the grin on the teen's face suddenly come back, with almost overwhelming joy.
"Oh, I remember him. He smelled like a power plant."
Kichiro laughed, almost able to ignore the fact that she was talking to a villain, with the childlike joy Toga gave off, and the men next to her joined her excited bounces, the two seemingly feeding off each other. "Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?" "Why?" Twice asked worriedly. "You're not going to be calling the police on us, are you?"
"Fucking snitch!"
No, not at all." She was quick to reassure them. "I'm not the biggest fan of the police, after how they mishandled Yuta's case. I'm a journalist. I just wanted to ask a few questions about you. Maybe your opinions on a few things? An interview," she suggested meekly. The word interview seemed to be the jackpot, as Toga and Twice brightened up and began bouncing on their feet again in unison.
An interview? Like the ones famous people give?
Toga asked excitedly.
You are sort of a famous person yourself,
Kichiro said. Toga squealed, glomping Twice.
We're gonna give an interview and get famous!
She cheered. She gasped suddenly, a smile getting even brighter, and the flush of her cheeks darkening.
Oh, what if Izuku-kun or Chaku-kun see it and fall in love with me?
It's gonna be great, Toga-chan. Twice joined in on her celebrations, somehow managing to keep his excited hop going, even with the extra weight.
This is a fucking nightmare. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. An exclusive interview with Toga Himiko and Twice from the League of Villains by Maeda Kiichiro. Hokkaido is a relatively peaceful island in early January. Snow is on the ground and a chill in the air, the sound of people hustling to work, school children in large groups enjoying the last few days of their winter break. So, understandably, I was surprised when I spotted 2 members of the League of Villains on the street ahead of me. I hurried to catch up with them. Usually I'd never chance to approach a villain. I wouldn't even consider it. However, since the League seems to have been turning more to vigilantism of late, the journalist in me was able to overpower my common sense. My first impression of the 2 was that they were incredibly positive and energetic. The 2 are clearly good friends, and they both seemed to find joy in simple things. When I approached them asking for an interview, they were both over the moon. We often write off and think of criminals and villains as these distant, cold personas, but when talking to Twice and Toga, I can't help but forget they were villains. Talking to them, they were people. What follows is a transcript and commentary of an almost hour-long joint interview I had with Himiko Toga and Babiwara Jin, alias Twice. Their stories and their perspectives of the world as it is. Both are stories of being outcasted for aspects of themselves beyond their control, whether it be discrimination against their perceived villainous quirk, or stigmatization or ostracization due to mental illness. Both are incredibly positive people, despite all they've been through, and I believe it is important to share their stories. How systematic problems we refuse to acknowledge in our modern society cause people to turn to villainy, as it is only amongst the other outcasts of society that they feel accepted. Toga elected to speak first, allowing Twice time to collect himself. Her story begins when she was 6 years old, and discovered her quirk by read more.
Yakitori Simp, at Official Hawks. Betrayed not only by my own agency and sidekicks, but even my baby bird intern, Etu Tsukiyomi? The Avery, at Airy. Our intern, Tsukiyomi, once again proves himself the all-time favorite of the office with his ability to capture premium Hawks content. Video attachment. A shaky cell phone video of Hawks pouring several cans of Monster energy drinks instead of water into a coffee maker. It is fast-forwarded as the coffee is brewed, and slows down again as Hawks takes the full pot off the hot plate. He turns to the freezer and takes out several ice cubes and drops them into the pot, swirling them around to quickly cool the coffee. Hawks proceeds to chug the entire pot in one go. He then slams the pot onto the counter and turns to face the office, loudly declaring, "I've had my coffee, I'm ready to fight God or fucking die trying." The video begins to shake uncontrollably, and wheezing laughter can be heard in the background, before the video abruptly ends. Tsukiyomi, at Reveling in the Dark, at Dementia Raven Way. Replying to at Hawks Official. If it makes you feel better, I have more than one video of you flying into billboards that I chose not to share. Yakitori Simp, at Hawks Official. Replying to at Dementia Raven Way. The disrespect. Every day is leg day, at Miracle Official. Replying to at Hawks Official and at Dementia Raven Way. The implication that you're respectable in any way is the real punchline here. I've watched you cry over the notebook too many times. Yakitori Simp, at Hawks Official.
replying to @MiracoOfficial and @DementiaRavenWay.
It's really good, okay? Stop exposing me.
Best Genist, @BestGenistOfficial, replying to @HawksOfficial, @MiracoOfficial, and @DementiaRavenWay. Hawks, there is nothing we can say about you that you haven't already told all your followers whenever you get on social media sleep-deprived, which is almost every time.
King Explosion Murder, @King Explosion Murder,
replying to Best Genist Official and 3 more.
Why the fuck did you wait until after my internship to get a fucking personality?
Everyday's Leg Day, @MiracoOfficial, replying to @Best Genist Official, @HawksOfficial, and @DementiaRavenWay. Genie, I take back every bad thing I've ever said about you. Drag him. Yakitori Simp, @HawksOfficial, replying to @MiracoOfficial, @BestGenistOfficial, and @DementiaRavenWay.
This is bullying.
Everyday's Leg Day, @MiracoOfficial, replying to @HawksOfficial, @BestGenistOfficial, and @DementiaRavenWay.
Stop me, coward.
Chargebot Go Away, @IRL Pikachu, replying to @MiracoOfficial and 3 more.
The fact that pros are allowed to run their own social media accounts is a blessing I thank whatever higher being there is for every single day.
Hey, Todoroki-kun! Izuku called, as he jogged into the common room, catching the attention of the stoic teen from where he sat at the kitchen counter. Did you want to come and see a movie with us this Saturday? Todoroki blinked at the question, his eyes flicking over to the calendar hung on the wall. Izuku followed his gaze. Most of the days were filled in with who was supposed to be cooking, due to dates on various assignments, but the box labeled January 18 was relatively blank.
I'm busy, he said bluntly.
Izuku blinked at the response, and Todoroki stared at him for a moment longer, before continuing in a slightly softer tone.
I'm going out with my siblings that day. Maybe I can join you for something on Sunday, or another weekend, Midoriya.
Izuku beamed at the response. Todoroki had certainly opened up more throughout the year. Yeah, I'd love that, Todoroki-kun.
Toya, it's January 18th again, and it's been another year without you. A lot has happened this year. I started at UA, and that's kept me so busy that I haven't had the time to think of coming sooner. I thought I'd hate UA, and it'd just be more of the same. I never really got to hear much about it from you. You went to watch the sports festivals in person once, but the old man had started keeping us separate by then. Fumi always told me that you thought UA was all right, but she likes to look for the positive in everything, so I wasn't really sure. The teachers are nice. They care a lot. I've made friends too. I think you'd like that. I mentioned in my previous letters that I would become a hero without using my fire. My first friend, Midoriya, Izuku, All Might's son, helped me realize how much I was holding myself back. Trying to become a hero using only ice to spite him. I don't want to live my life for him, either by living to follow his ambitions, or by living only to go against him. I remember what you told me about fire not being scary. I went to go see Mum for the first time. I've started seeing a therapist at UA. Midoriya's helped me a lot. You probably would have liked him for that, if nothing else. I like to think you would have been proud of how much better I started doing this year. There's been a lot of villain attacks this year. I've only been involved in 3, personally. Midoriya's been in all of them. All Might's retired. Dad's the #1 hero now. I know you would have hated that. There's this younger hero, Hawks. He's #2, and his case rate has gone through the roof recently. There's a lot of speculation that he might have a shot at #1 next season. You would have probably found this hilarious at the very least. You knew him, I think. I remember seeing him at your funeral. I don't know how you knew him, but I think you'd like the hero he's become. I met him again when he came to speak at heroics class last semester. He's nice. Fuyumi's getting married. She wants me to be the ring bearer, and I think I'm gonna say yes. I remember Ashido, a classmate, saying something about playing hard to get being beneficial for relationships. And I'm trying to connect with Fuyumi and Natsuo more, so I've decided to try it. I really hope you're proud of me, or at least can be proud of who I am when I become a hero. I got my provisional license, after trying the exam a second time. You probably would have made a joke about the number 2 hero being a running theme in the family, or something like that, but hug me nonetheless. Or at least, that's what I like to think. Fuyumi and Natsuo have finished writing their letters, so I suppose I should wrap this up. I'll try and visit again before next year. I hope you're happy, wherever you are now. I miss you. Shoto.
Fucking run faster!
Dabi screeched at Compress, ducking around a corner to avoid a blast of electricity.
I'm trying!
Compress yelled back. Usually, Dabi probably would have found it hilarious that the showman had finally lost his composure, but that was when they didn't have an angry supervillain on their tails, actively trying to kill them. 2 years ago, Dabi was fairly sure that he would die of an infection, and he still held it as a likely possibility. However, death by electrocution was moving up on his list of the most likely ways I'm going out, faster than he would have liked. As a person who had 39 metal piercings, did staples count as piercings? Probably. On his head alone, he was surprised he hadn't come across this situation sooner. Well, he thought bleakly to himself, as he felt a staple in his leg tear when he sharply turned around another corner. At least they'd managed to cross Marimoto Sho off the list of possible identities for himself. The problem was it turned out he'd been a supervillain with an unknown identity. Considering what he could remember of his life so far, that about tracked.